You're listening to IChampionHealth Chats, the podcast dedicated to improving health for all in Lexington, Kentucky. Each episode will connect you with champions in our community who will share powerful stories, expert insights, resources to explore, and ways you can promote health for all. Let's lock in and learn how we can champion health together.
Excuse me, Mr. Gio.
Yeah, what's up?
What does it take to become a champion?
You gotta dream, you gotta think, you gotta act, you gotta ball, you gotta bleed, and most important, you gotta believe.
You gotta dream
like a champion,
think
like a champion,
act
like a champion, say it.
I'm a champion.
Like a champion,
Bleed.
like a champion.
Look in the mirror and believe.
You're a champion.
You gotta dream
Like a champion,
think
like a champion,
act
like a champion, say it. I'm a champion. Like a champion,
Bleed.
like a champion.
Look in the mirror and believe.
All right, good morning to all of our listeners and viewers, and welcome to another episode of IChampionHealth Chats. Today, we are located in the Gatton College of Business and Economics building on the University of Kentucky. I am your host, Gibson. I am a violence intervention specialist and founder of the Operation Making a Change program. My co-host today, joining me, Olivia Jennings.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm a new Vista support employment specialist, OMAC volunteer, and also an IChampionHealth leader. I'm really excited to be here today. And so from here, we're going to be talking about mental health, also the unhoused community, and how we can meet those basic needs with our guest here today, talking about mental health and how that connects with that. So, and that relates to IChampionHealth in regards to making health accessible for all and health for all, no matter what someone's situation is.
All right, and today's guest joining us, Mr. Jonathan Richardson. And Jonathan Richardson is the founder of Unity in the Community, all right? Not only that, but Jonathan is a UK employee, Gatton College of Business and Economics student right here on the University of Kentucky campus. Welcome, Jonathan.
Thank you all for having me.
Well, if we can go ahead and get started, I would like to ask you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? We're so glad to have you here, and we are really excited to show the viewers and also for myself personally more about yourself and your story.
Of course. Well, my name's Jonathan Richardson. I grew up here in Lexington, Kentucky. I graduated from Bryan Station High School, and I'm the founder of Unity in the Community Incorporated. We are a Section 501c3 nonprofit.
Okay.
One of the biggest inspirations for me to start Unity in the Community was the loss of my nephew. I lost him to a drug overdose 3 years ago. My nephew and I were 3 years apart, so he was more like a brother than a nephew to me. And to see someone that you grow up with pass away to something like drugs or gun violence, it does something to you. And I used that loss to channel positive energy and to make a difference in my community. I know it's too late to try to do something about my nephew, but I didn't know that he was doing, hardcore drugs. I knew that he smoked weed, but he hid his actual hardcore drug use from the family. So we didn't know about it. And I think that as American people and just people in general, we need to help the community, and drugs is a big issue. And also I've lost friends and family to gun violence. So I went to a Moms Demand Action meeting before, and they actually asked all of us if we knew anyone that had passed from gun violence. And I looked at the lady and I said, actually, when I think about it, I know more people that's died from gun violence than can sit at this table. Mm-hmm. And I know more people that's died from gun violence than I can count on both hands and both feet. And I know that sounds like a lot, but it's true. And I know quite a few people in that same predicament. But I'm just thankful that we have places like One Lexington and OMAC and other gun violence prevention and violence prevention programs. And I think that it's a community effort, and we need more positivity, and we need more people working together, because we have too much hate in this world, and we need to spread love, not hate.
Absolutely.
Amen to that.
We're losing too many people to it.
Yes.
So our next question is, I know you had talked about that you're a student here, but what are you studying and what do you like most about that program? What got you interested in it?
So when I first graduated from Bryan Station. I went to the University of Louisville, and I kind of got distracted my second year, so I left and took a break. But now, and I was in the school of business there, and I've always been business-minded and an entrepreneur. I remember in sixth grade, I used to sell CDs to everybody at my school. So I've always been basically a hustler and finding ways to make money. And I started buying stocks when I was 13 years old. So I've been into the stock market. I got into crypto in 2017. And so now that I'm an employee of the University of Kentucky, I just decided to take advantage of the employee assistance program where you can take free classes. And so I got back into college trying to finish my bachelor's degree. Right now I'm classified as a junior, but I'm taking a general business bachelor's program in Gatton School of Business. So all of my classes are online, which is great. Because parking's crazy and just trying to get to campus.
And expensive.
And I think that's the new wave of the future, online classes. We especially saw that during, the pandemic. A lot of people were doing Zoom, and basically online is a new thing now that a lot of people do. It used to be only a few people did online classes, but pretty much everyone around the world's online, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of flexibility too, especially with work schedule.
Yeah.
So you can work outside of that and gives you more time to focus on it. But I want to go back to your organization with Unity in the Community. What exactly do you do with your organization? What do you see, or how are you helping in the community, and how can we help with that?
I love that question because I got it asked a lot, especially when I first started, because with nonprofits, there's a lot that you can do. You don't have to just do one thing. And that's the one thing that I'm proud of with myself is that, yes, we help the unhoused community. Here in Lexington, we have about 2,500 people that's experiencing homelessness. So we help with the unhoused community. We pass out food, clothing. We were fortunate enough to get some funding from the city of Lexington. So we got a lot of the unhoused new shoes. I just rode around Lexington. I saw people that were on common areas where they usually panhandle that needed shoes. I would look at their feet first, and then I would make sure I had like random sizes. So I went to Walmart and bought shoes from sizes 8 to maybe 13 and passed out shoes. And now we've been on the news quite a bit, so we're getting people from the community that's supporting us, and they're donating clothes to us. And we also have this website where we can get brand new clothing from places like Walmart and Nike. That's basically customer returns or just unused inventory that they give to this big nonprofit called Good 360, and then other smaller nonprofits or just nonprofits in general and churches can order from their website. But the only thing with that is sometimes you can't determine what sizes you want. You can't say I need like 20 extra larges and 20 mediums and things like that. You basically just get whatever they have.
Right.
And so that's kind of a challenge because sometimes I have like a size 3X or 4X coat and I'm struggling trying to find someone in the community that can use it. So we help the unhoused. We just got a grant to pay for swim lessons for underserved youth in the community. And I'm really proud of that because swimming's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of kids that come from disadvantaged backgrounds can't afford swim lessons. They're super expensive right now. I think 3 days worth of swim lessons at one of the private colleges here in Lexington is around $150. And I don't know about you all, but $150 is a lot to me, and it's probably a lot to most Americans right now. We have inflation, so being able to help with things like that. Also, I'm looking into getting into some local park cleanups. So I'm big into recycling and the environment, but I'm always open to suggestions. So as far as ways people can help, we just need more volunteers. I really need someone to help me with grant writing because that's a big one too. Mm-hmm. So a grant writer, more volunteers, and just more support from the community, which we have, but we could always use more.
Yeah. And what are some of the challenges that you've seen? I work a lot with homeless and unhoused populations as well within my job during the day. So I wanted to know what do you see are some of the needs that aren't being met as well?
Well, as far as needs not being met, I would say that the city's doing a really good job of helping the unhoused community. It's just what I've seen growing up here. Every year we're getting more and more unhoused people, and I think it's a problem across the country. So I think that we just need more organizations to come together in unity. And that's what I'm proud of, because this is the United States of America. And we know that, a house divided amongst itself cannot stand. So we have all these nonprofits in Lexington and all over the state and the country. And I think that we need to do more things like this where we can come together on podcasts and talk and have conversation. My uncle, his favorite thing to say is conversation rules the nation. And that's basically just talking about how communication is critical and just coming together and having conversations with people and working together. And I think that's what we need to do. We need to just work together more and maybe have more public forums to help the unhoused community. And it is a big mental health issue. And because I've been out there, and you can go to pretty much any unhoused person in downtown Lexington and ask them if they've heard of Jonathan or Unity in the community. And I can guarantee you at least 98% of them will say yes.
Yeah.
So just anyone can help. I started off small. When I first started, I was buying hot and ready pizzas from Little Caesars, and I didn't have a nonprofit or anything. So I was just struggling trying to buy 6 or 7 boxes of pizza. They're not $5 anymore, you know?
Right, it went up on us.
Yeah. But I'm just happy to make a difference in the community.
No, and it's great work that you're doing. And when you're talking about collaborating and working with other organizations and communication and really building on that unity piece, what are some of the organizations or nonprofits that you are working with currently?
So currently, we applied for the One Lexington Gun Violence Prevention Grant. So I'm hoping that we can get that. I've met Devon Krama. He's a really cool guy. He's one of the people that inspired me to get more involved in the community. And also finally getting to meet Gio with OMAC. That's really cool. I saw him at the Peace Walk, and I saw some of the things that he'd been doing on social media. And who else have we worked with? My church, they said that they would help me. They have a missionary group. But I'm just always open to work with more people, because a community consists of a lot of people. It's not just one person. And,
right.
I can't be like Batman or Spider-Man and do everything by myself. And I know that. And I'm happy to have a team and be a part of a team.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to ask you what community meant to you. So is there anything else that you would like to add on what community means to you, or what you would think community would want to look like here in Lexington?
Yeah, and I forgot to mention one thing as far as groups that I've worked with. One of the UK football players, his dad actually reached out to us. The football player's name is Dane Key. He's one of the receivers here. And they grew up in Lexington, so his dad's really cool. He played at UK too. So he's donated food and clothing, and I met his other son who's in the NFL now. But what was the other question?
Oh, I'm sorry. And it was expanding on what community means to you. I know you kind of briefly touched on it earlier and kind of throughout the whole episode so far, but what does community really mean to you, or what would you want community to look like here?
So community, to me, that's a beautiful question, because I've actually been trying to get help with some local artists and just artists in general with making a logo, because we don't have a logo now. And a question I always get from people when I'm telling them that, the name of the organization is Unity in the Community. And me, the best I can do is probably do stick figures. I have a brother, he's good at drawing, but I'm not like really artistic when it comes to drawing and painting. So there's been artists and they want me to make a sketch or an outline of what I think community and unity looks like. And I basically just describe it as people coming from diverse backgrounds, working together, because obviously this country is a melting pot. We have people from all over the place. We're one of the most diverse places in the world, and Lexington itself is becoming more diverse. I'm 32, and I can just remember being a kid and now looking at it now, just how much the diversity has increased here. We have a lot of people coming from Congo. We have people coming from Latin America, everywhere. And it's beautiful, because you can go outside of Lexington and Louisville and you don't see the diversity like we have here. Right. So community looks like, to me, people working together, people from multiple backgrounds, and peace, love, and harmony and happiness,
Absolutely.
which we need more of.
Oh, yeah. No, I love that. And I agree with you with Lexington growing in diversity. I'm also from Lexington. And so even though I'm 24, so a little bit younger, I've seen it grown in diversity over the years. Even though like I lived in Richmond and coming back to Lexington, it's just such a different feel from, even though it's 30 minutes down the road and you see it now from Lexington, it's just grown. And it's such a beautiful thing. And I really like, especially with working with OMAC and with IChampionHealth, I've been able to see some of that diversity and being able to see people interact from different backgrounds. And it just is so nice. It's so refreshing.
Exactly.
So, Gio, did you have any questions that you wanted to ask before I go into our fun question?
No, we can just go ahead into the fun question. And man, you have a really good heart, man. I
Thank you.
appreciate everything that you do.
So our random fun question is going to be, what household disaster happened to you?
Oh, that one, it's a little bit embarrassing, but we used to have an apartment, me and my girlfriend, and we didn't have renter's insurance, and we had a small apartment fire.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So everyone listening, I encourage you, because I didn't know I didn't know the importance of renter's insurance, and I thought that it came with our lease. I didn't read the lease carefully. And basically, everyone out there, get renter's insurance if you don't have it. And if you have a house, get insurance on your house. But insurance is very important.
You never know what can happen.
Yeah. No, and thankfully, no one was hurt. It was just property damage.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad nobody was hurt. And I'm going to turn it over to Gio for a little bit to get more into our topic about mental health.
All righty. Again, so let's go ahead and dive right in. You may have already answered, a lot of things that, I want to ask you. The first thing I want to ask is, can you tell us a little more about Unity and the mission? What is the mission and everything that your nonprofit would provide? What are some of the initiatives?
So some of the initiatives for Unity in the community is just to be a bridge, because in our community, when I first started getting into it more, I was noticing we had a lot of good resources out there, but a lot of the resources weren't readily available. You have to basically go out there and look for it. Some of the stuff, it doesn't just come to you. And me being a Lexingtonian, I was kind of amazed about all the great opportunities and groups we have here. And I knew about some. It's just that I think that, and it's just how the media and things work, bad things, it's easy to learn about the bad things, and you hear about it all the time. Like if someone gets shot, it'll be on the news and you'll see the people that did it. But the good things that people do, it makes the news too. But a lot of times that's not really promoted or, I guess, advertised enough. Right. So Unity in the community, we just are about bridging gaps and helping people and making the community a better place for all. And the best part about it, and I say this all the time, basically, I say that unity in the community is more than just a phrase. It's a way of life. And I think that you can't have a community without unity.
Wow, that's amazing, man. Unity in the community is a way of life. I've never heard it from that standpoint. And that's something that I, myself personally, we definitely need that unity back in our communities. Wow, yeah. That's amazing. So you talked about some initiatives, and there's always challenges and things that we do in life or goals that we're trying to reach. What are some of the challenges that you can talk about today in your line of work?
I guess some of the challenges is just getting name recognition and getting people willing to partner with you. And also, I want to say it's the smallest thing now because I'm looking at life differently. And I'll share a quote with someone that I think he was a legend and a really good guy. But basically, getting that name out there, because you know how they always say sometimes it's not what you know, but who you know?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So I'm learning that. And obviously I've taken marketing classes and, it's such thing as the book sense and then, street sense and common sense and things like that. So I think that I'm just learning, and I was actually invited to Gatton to speak to a class because one of the professors saw one of my articles, and I taught to his real estate class. But I told the class that the same thing that I'm talking about now is basically the whole thing as far as not what you know, but who you know. Because when you're out there trying to make a difference in the community, obviously it's multi-layers, and you gotta, like, I'm meeting the founder of OMAC and you all, and IChampionHealth Radio, right?
Champion Chats, Health Chats.
Health Chats.
Close enough.
So just getting to know about all this stuff, like there's so many people out there, they don't know just all the resources that's in their community. And to be able to learn about what all is out there and finally tap into it, I'm actually proud of myself because, my dad, he was one of the first in the family to actually, establish financial literacy, and he started his own business and accumulate, the American dream and things like that. But I didn't have rich grandparents, and I didn't have someone to give me a small loan of $1 million. So my dad always tells me, you have to crawl before you walk.
Yeah.
And so that's what I've been doing with this journey is I've been crawling, and finally I'm starting to get to walk a little bit.
Okay.
And now it got to the point where I used to have to be the one reaching out to everyone. And I've sent so many emails. I've probably sent like 1,000 emails about unity and trying to work with people and learn about everything.
Networking.
Yeah, the whole networking thing. And it does get a bit exhausting sometimes. And sometimes you feel like giving up. But then when I feel like giving up, I think about all the, I guess I can call them soldiers that I've lost, because life is kind of like a battle. And I think about my nephew. I think about my friend Ken. I think about people like Ray Mard, went to high school with at Bryan Station, and Quante, all these people. Like, seriously, I would have to have a big, 1,000-page notebook and sit here for probably 30 minutes and think about all the people I've lost to gun violence. But I know them. It's so hard. Like, if you only lost one person, it's easy. One name, write it down. So me, unfortunately, it's sad, but it's true that it's just so many like that. And I guess the other challenge, which I'm trying to not worry about as much, but I know that you gotta have it in this world, in the society we live in, is just the financial part. Because I've proven that I can do a lot with little. I'm not one of these nonprofits that has like I'm not Goodwill and have $1 billion or anything like that, but I've proven that I can still make a difference with the support of, my team and volunteers and the community, that we can make a difference. You don't have to be rich,
That's right.
like financially rich. And I was watching a Bob Marley interview. I really like him. And his interview, the guy asked Bob Marley, he was like, "Are you rich?" And Bob Marley, he said, "What do you mean rich?" And then the guy asked Bob Marley, he said, "So do you have a lot of material possessions?" And Bob Marley told him, material, it make you rich? He said, "I don't have that kind of richness. My richness is life forever." And I think that we all need to look at life like that too, because at the end of the day, all this gold, silver, these Ferraris, big houses, big bank accounts, Gucci shoes and socks and whatever, $10,000 suits, none of this is going to be able to go with you after you check out, and none of us live forever.
No U-Haul attached to the casket.
Yeah.
So the challenges, of course, a lot of challenges I'm hearing. But what keeps you going? What is the rewards, though, that you see, man? Because sometimes people on the outside looking in, they may think that you got it all figured out, that this is actually, easy doing nonprofit work. I mean, you're committing yourself to the world and to your communities. You're going the extra mile and probably sacrificing a lot of your own time, money, blood, sweat, and tears. But what are some of the rewards from all of this, though?
Some of the rewards, this one that makes me, I have a hard time showing my emotions, but when I think about that, it makes me a little bit sad, even though I'm not showing any tears, like internally, just thinking about the difference and the impact. And like, I'm looking at myself, I'm proud of what I've done and the people that helped me. I'm just thankful because I know that 100 years from now, I'm not going to be here. And I guess some of the things that kind of gives me the joy is just seeing those people. And I had a lady, she started crying because we got her a pair of shoes, and, she's been homeless for about 5 years, and seeing the difference that you can make in people. And then also I just think about my family, and my dad's always tell me about, family first. But I believe that we're all family, the community, we're family. Maybe we're not biologically related, but we're still family. And I'm thinking about how I'm doing good things. I'm trying to make my parents proud, and I only have one grandparent left. All the other ones have passed away. So I believe, like, I'm a spiritual person, and I believe that I'm rich in the spirit. And all these people that I lost, they're not with me anymore physically, but I can still feel their spirit.
Right.
And so just to make my family happy, and I have 3 kids, so to kind of like be inspiration and do something good. And then my kids can say that at least their dad tried, because, like, I feel, my brother, he told me one time that I wasn't like doing as much as I could and living up to my full potential. But I think that when you're younger, it's harder to tap into your full potential and realize just how much that you can do. And I believe that greatness lives in all of us, and we can all do something great. And so to finally be able to find something that I can make a difference and be a part of and be a leader, and also just be like, I was a good son, a good brother, a good dad, and things like that, because I know that my time is coming eventually. I won't be here forever. Maybe my kids and grandkids and cousins, somebody, when I'm not here anymore, they can listen back to this and remember that I tried. Because at the end of the day, life is about trying, and it's easy to give up, especially when you come from the bottom. I didn't come from the bottom, but I know people from the bottom, but I'm coming from the bottom with this as far as starting a nonprofit. So like Drake said, started from the bottom, now we're here.
Are we here?
Yeah, so we're
here.
kind of here, and we're here in this podcast, right?
Yeah.
So shout out to all the supporters, and I thank the University of Kentucky. I thank OMAC and your podcast here, I keep forgetting, IChampionHealth. So thank you, everyone. And I think that's one thing too. My dad, he gets on me for not being grateful for the things that he helps me with, because, I'm the youngest, and I feel like the youngest, sometimes you are the one that, quote, is more like spoiled and things like that. So you take for granted the things that you have. So I'm just sorry for not being appreciative, because there's so many people that don't have the things that we have, and they don't have a roof over their head. They really don't have much, but I'm just thankful.
Always good to be thankful, man, and have gratitude. What is needed in the community right now? How can we do better? How can we do better, and what is an immediate need in the community, in your opinion?
I think the immediate need in the community is unity.
Okay.
And I just think that, for instance, especially when I first started, I reached out to people that had already been established. And there's some people, they've been around so long and they already have their success and they're known. So even though it's a nonprofit, they still kind of look at it as sort of like a business or an investment. So I had some people, they didn't want to work with me at first because they never heard of me as far as unity in the community, and they already had their thing going. So I just think that we need people to kind of like work together and lift your fellow brothers and sisters up, and just to remember, because I think sometimes people forget, once they get up to the top and they have their level of success, they forget that they, maybe even if it was like 30 years ago or whenever it was, they once had to start from the beginning too. So we just have, in this community, we need people to just come together more and to, I think, have more open forums. I went to the City Hall meeting a few weeks ago, and I spoke for like 3 minutes. And there I wasn't complaining about anything. Some people, the only time they go and make a public comment is when they want to complain. But I went there to thank the city of Lexington because we got a little bit of the neighborhood development funds. So I thanked the city and the council members and the mayor and all them. And I think that this is what we really need. People in this community, they need to realize that their voice matters, because people feel like they don't have a voice and they feel voiceless. But at the end of the day, the beauty of this country is our freedom of speech. And like 80 years ago, someone that looked like me wouldn't be able to go to this university and to talk about things like this and go to the same schools as everyone. Like now we have integration, we're all together and we're working together. So we've made a lot of progress, and I'm proud of Lexington and this state. And I'm proud of everyone. I just think that we need to come together more and have more unity and more peace and work together, because I feel like sometimes it seems like we don't have people. It seems like to me, because I played sports growing up, I played baseball and team sports. I might have not been like Michael Jordan or anything, or King Griffey Jr., but I was okay. But I learned to work as a team. And I think that it seems to me like we need people to be more team players.
We're more, you're saying we're more divided than unified.
Yeah.
We can unify, come as one, we're stronger together.
Right, yeah, stronger together.
All right. Well, Jonathan Richardson, for our listeners and viewers out there, how can they get involved with you? Where do they find Jonathan Richardson? How do they get involved with Unity?
So one of the things, they can Google me. I like Google. Everyone's using Google, so just Google Jonathan Richardson, Lexington, Kentucky. There is another Jonathan with the same name as me, unfortunately, and it wasn't me, I promise, but that one, he actually robbed a bank in Lexington. And one of the ladies at my church actually asked my mom about it. Yeah, she's like, "Your son didn't rob a bank, did he?" And she said no, so they can Google, and then also they can look us up on Instagram. The Instagram handle is Unity in Lexington.
Okay.
And then my email is Johnny, JOHNNY, RICH 40511 @gmail.com.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that, Jonathan Richardson. I'm going to turn it back over to Olivia.
And I do have a couple questions, maybe like one or two more. I don't want to bombard you with a bunch of questions, but a lot of times what I've seen with the unhoused community is a lot of mental health and mental health concerns. I mean, of course, living on the street without a home would definitely cause a lot of those mental health concerns. But what have you personally seen, and how can we help with the mental health aspects specifically in our unhoused population? So
that's a pretty deep question, and I guess not just one answer to it. I think that I'm one of those people, though, where I won't tell someone to try something that I didn't try before or that I would try. So one thing that I've done, I went online and through SAMHSA, it's an acronym, it's a federal program. It's like substance abuse, mental health. I don't know exactly what it stands for, but it deals with substance abuse and mental health. And a lot of social workers use this program, but you can go on there and they have different like certificate programs you can take, and they're like 30 minutes each. And there's one dealing with people with homelessness, dealing with people with opioid disorders, dealing with people with serious mental health issues. So I recommend everyone take that. And a lot of it is common sense stuff, but it kind of gives you an idea of the whole homelessness situation in America, because some people, like, they're doing House Bill 5 right now, and they're trying to make where street camping is illegal. And it's a problem. It went to the Supreme Court, actually. It's a problem nationwide. But some people, they just think that homeless people are just lazy and they don't want to work. But it's not the case. Like, some of them, they don't, unfortunately, want to work, and they, whatever the case may be. But a lot of the ones that I've met, they have like an addiction to alcohol or hardcore drugs or some type of mental illness. And so I think that we just need to learn how to deal with people with mental illness more. And also it's kind of like a step approach. First, like with what I'm doing with Unity in the community, I'm just providing the basic necessities. And you got to kind of build a relationship with the people that you help. Because if you just go in there right away and say, hey, I think I can sign you up for therapy and recommend therapists to them, then maybe you can scare them away. But if you build a relationship and give them some Papa Johns and a new pair of shoes and they get to know you, some of them even I have my number and they'll text. Like I have like 3 or 4 of the unhoused people's numbers and they'll text me and ask when I'm coming out again to help out. So just build relationships, learn about how to deal with substance abuse and mental health, because we all have problems. No one's perfect. And if you can just learn to deal with those things, that's how you can help.
Yeah.
Did I answer the question?
Oh, there was no right or wrong. It's more just your answer to it, because mental health is such a broad topic, and a lot of people may not know how to interact with someone that is unhoused, because there is such a big stigma around it still. Even though we have, like you said, over 2,000 people within Lexington that do not have a home to go to at night, I think people still get that stigma. Oh, they're lazy. Oh, they don't want to work. I know from the people that I have met, a lot of times they do want to work, but it's that person giving them a chance. Mm-hmm. Even when you were talking earlier about having the beginning of your nonprofit, of somebody giving you that chance. And a lot of times that's what we see with people that are on the street, is they just need that chance, or they need that relationship in order to be able to combat the addiction or to get to the next step in their life. And so my final question for you, and what I would kind of want to end the episode on here, is if someone wanted to start their own nonprofit, from your experience and your journey towards starting unity in the community, what advice would you give someone? What would you tell someone, whether they're younger or older, no matter what start, what would you tell them if they want to start their own nonprofit?
So I would tell them first, it's not easy, but you can do it. And to just do some research and think about things that they are passionate about, and look at where they live, and maybe look at some, I guess, things where there's kind of a shortage of that service, or how they can add on to it. Like if we live next to the beach or something, I would be out trying to do something with cleaning the ocean or something. But unfortunately, we're like, 2,000 miles from the beach. So just find out kind of how they can help and what they're interested in. And even if it is sort of a service that's already going on, obviously this is not like a super small town. It's not New York or anything, but I guess maybe I should even be speaking on it based on a Lexington perspective, just anywhere. Basically, just look at what your city has to offer and how you think you can add and improve to it. And so as long as they're doing something legal and they're helping the community, go ahead and do it. Register with their Secretary of State. Find a couple people, maybe from their family or friends, or like coworkers that are passionate too, and get them like at least 2 or 3 people on their board of directors. So get that. Eventually apply for the 501c3, which I did. And that's about close to $300. So have at least maybe $1,000 just sitting aside to invest in the nonprofit, because unfortunately it's not free to get started. It's not super expensive. Like you got to put a little bit of money into it.
There's a way, there's a will though.
Yeah, and just be determined and never give up.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here, spending time with us,
Telling
us about unity in the community, your own story, and just being vulnerable with us for the IChampionHealth chats. I'm going to turn it back over to Gio. If he has anything else he would like to add to that.
Well, I'm just going to end with this. So as you know, the name of the podcast is IChampionHealth Chats. So we always ask our guests to fill in the blanks. So what does IChampionHealth through what to you? How do you champion your health?
Okay, so I champion health through being persistent and dedicated, because it's easy. I said it earlier in the podcast, but it's so easy to just not do anything and to give up. The hard thing is to live and try to make a difference and just try anything. Even like going to college, you don't just say, hey, I want to go to college, and you get in. You have to do an application, And with grants for nonprofits, you have to answer a million questions. And just with anything that you want and anything that you think that is worth having, you got to work for it and at least try, because most of the time, unless you're lucky, I know a few lucky people, maybe their grandparents left them a bunch of money or a house or whatever. But most of the time, you got to get it through the mud and work for it.
Absolutely.
All righty. So viewers and listeners, we want to thank you again for tuning in to another episode of IChampionHealth Chats. Once again, I'm your host, Gibson, my co-host, Olivia Jennings. And again, we want to thank Jonathan Richardson for coming by for just having a wonderful conversation, man. I just think you're a genuine brother, and we need to get behind this brother. So make sure you get in tune with Mr. Jonathan Richardson of Unity and learn more about his initiatives in the community. Thank you again. Have a blessed day.
Thank you for tuning in to IChampionHealth Chats. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to hit the follow button in your favorite podcast app and share with your community. You can connect with us by searching at IChampionHealth on social media or by emailing ichampionhealth@uky.edu. IChampionHealth is a collaboration between the University of Kentucky Prevent Alliance, Operation Making a Change, and the United Way of the Bluegrass. The IChampionHealth team encourages you to get vaccinated for COVID-19 and stay up to date with boosters. Vaccines are a safe and effective way to protect yourself and your community. This podcast was supported by funds made available by the Kentucky Department for Public Health's Office of Health Equity, from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, National Center for STLT, Public Health Infrastructure and Workforce, under RFA OT 21-2103. The contents of the podcast are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official position of or endorsement by the Kentucky Department for Public Health or the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.